Hey guys, welcome. Today's practice is going to be all about getting upside down. And before you hit stop and choose a different class, we're going to work through inversions in a little different way. And there's some other classes I have up on the website like this as well. But there's a lot of benefit to getting head below our heart. We do it in so many poses and we don't even think about them as inversions. But it's really nourishing for the tissues of our brain to get blood flow moving just with gravity. And so that doesn't always have to be things like headstand and handstand, which is kind of where we automatically go when we think of inversions. But everything from down dog to standing forward fold all gets that benefit of head below our heart. For some of us, those I think maybe as bigger inversions with the legs all the way up. For some of us, those aren't great poses. Or we just might not have a good space at home or feel confident doing it by ourselves. But we don't want to miss out on all those benefits. So this is great when it feels like your brain needs a little bit of nourishment. So if you have a couple of blocks handy, you can have those for class today and just have them all the way up at the front of the mat. That's where you'll need them. We're going to go ahead and get started right in downward facing dog. Right, great inversion that we do all the time. Don't always think about it in that way. So set up your hands. Right, shoulder width apart, even just a hair wider. Root through your fingertips and then lift your hips up and back. Take your feet about hips width distance apart. You might have a little bend in your knees, especially as we get started. And then just let your head get heavy. We really want to get that benefit here. You can feel that head below heart. So we're starting to get a little bit more blood flow moving there. Right, set up a strong foundation with your hands. And so root strongly through your fingertips. Press down and forward with your hands to lift your hips up and back. And then send your heels towards the mat. Again, maybe a little bend in the knees if that feels better, or working your legs towards straight. Right, with your arms, really think about pressing down into your hands and gripping at the mat. Lift up a little on the underside of your armpits, and then let your chest soften back. Good. Start to find a steady rhythm of your breath. And a lot of setup, just keep the arms, wrists, and hands really engaged here. Right, and some of the inversion stuff we'll be doing is really from the foundation of our legs. Some will be from our hands, so we'll work that back and forth. Maybe you can feel a little heat starting to build in the arms. All right, take your feet just a little bit wider. Take a full breath in through your nose. Big exhale out through your mouth. With your inhale, lift up onto the balls of your feet. And then as you exhale, pivot your heels to the right and send your heels back down towards the ground. Let's just do that a couple times with breath. Inhale, lift up on the balls of your feet. Exhale, swivel heels to the left. Heels up, inhale. Swivel right, press them down, exhale. Good. Inhale to center. Exhale to the left. Feeling a little heat in the arms now. Lots of blood flow moving to the brain. Inhale, heels up. Exhale, press your heels straight back. Okay, then one more time, just lift up on the balls of your feet. This time, walk your feet forward to your hands. Come to standing forward fold, front of your mat. Right, so we'll keep the head low a fair amount of the time, but then also find some poses that'll help balance that out so we're not just getting the head rush throughout the whole practice. Go ahead, grab opposite elbows, and just like down dog, you might have a little bend in your knees here. Okay, make your legs strong, just like we did with our hands, so really press down into your feet, even if the knees have a little bend. Get a little squeeze of your inner legs towards one another. And then really just let the head and neck go. You might even shake out. Right? Yes and no a little bit with the head, or let the upper body sway side to side. Right? And it's not that our brain doesn't get blood flow. It's just often working against gravity for it to get there. Just give it that little bit of extra juice, and we can get the head below the heart. Okay, come back to center, release your hands, and then go ahead, take your feet a little bit wider, turn your toes out, bring your heels down, Malasana squat. And so if you have a block or two and want some extra support under your hips, sometimes that's really nice here, especially if hip mobility isn't always your favorite or your body doesn't always agree with that. Okay, so this is a nice way just to let things come back into balance without standing all the way up. Right, when we've had our head below our heart for a while, we definitely want to be mindful, move slowly when we come back opposite direction. So this keeps us low to the ground, but lets things equalize. And we'll do this a few times throughout the practice, just so we get a little bit of balance of both. Okay, release your hands, lift your hips, right? Strongly plant your hands, just like down dog, step back, high plank. Right, find a little tone through the belly. Hug your outer waist in. So some of the inversions we'll work through today do require a little core strength or ask us to build a little core strength. So just starting that here. Good. Take another full breath in. And then with your exhale, shift up and back again, down dog. Good. Inhale here. And then exhale, bring your knees down to your mat. So your knees are right over your hips are right over your knees. And you find a little tone through your low belly, just like plank. But this time, walk your hands forward, heart melting pose. Bring your forehead to or towards the mat. Here might be another great place for the block. You could always do a pillow or a blanket too, if your forehead just doesn't really comfortably come to the ground. And stay active through your arms. And let the chest soften between your arms. Right, so a little bit less, right? So we're maybe than like a down dog, but still head below heart. All these poses that we don't always think of as inversions, right? Maybe we're working it more for the shoulders, but we're still getting that benefit. And take a few breaths. And then walk your hands back. Plant your hands strong like down dog, and then lift your hips up and back into down dog, right? So we're just prepping the hands and the shoulders for that transition. Press down with your fingertips, lift your hips high and back, soften the weight of your head. Take a full breath in, full breath out. Inhale, lift to your toes. Exhale, bend your knees, look forward, and then walk, step, or even a little hop forward front of your mat. Right, you can have big toes together to touch or feet hip width apart. See what feels better for you. And then you might take a little bend in your knees as you fold forward. Good. One more time, ragdoll. Take the opposite elbow clasp. It'll probably just be with whichever one you have to think about. Root through the foundation of your legs. Let your upper body soften and get heavy. And that same thing, if it feels good, just a little release. Move head, neck, maybe upper body a little sway. One of the other benefits I find with not all, but many of our inversions is this little bit of traction with the neck too. And so the weight of the head can create some space there. And come to stillness. Release your hands. Take your feet a little wider apart. Turn your toes out. Settle down, squat. Right, so again, always can sit up on a block here if you want that little extra support. Give a little squeeze of your inner legs onto your outer arms or shoulders. And then as you let the tailbone get heavy, lift from the sternum up towards your thumbs. Let's keep your gaze straight forward. Notice what it feels like as we change the orientation of head below heart to heart above, head above heart. And then release your hands, lift your hips, walk your feet back into about hip width apart. And then step your right foot back. Take a big step back so you're up on the ball of the back foot. Right, so you can come up onto fingertips here. Another place if you want to use blocks for a little bit more support, or it just feels like more challenging to get your hands all the way down. Sometimes fists are nice too. Okay, give a little squeeze of your inner legs. Press your right inner thigh up towards the ceiling and press through the ball of the back foot. Right, so now here pretty much in neutral. Keep a little tone through the low belly and then lengthen the crown of your head forward. Take a full breath in. And then with your exhale, straighten your front leg and now let the upper body fold and soften, right? So back to head below heart. Keep the inner legs hugging together. You can stay up on the ball of the back foot. You could take a step in if that feels more stable. And then your left sitting bone, hug in towards center. And as you let the weight of your head go, see if you can also draw your shoulder blades towards your waist. Right, so we're moving them away from the ears. Just another nice way to create a little bit of length. And take another full breath. A little hamstring work with the inversion. There's always that other benefit of it. And then with your next inhale, take a big step forward front of your mat. You can bend your left knee. With your exhale, switch left leg back. Walk your hands to frame your front foot. Again, maybe blocks, fingertips, fists if that feels better for your hands. And just go long enough so that your front knee is over your ankle or a little behind. And you're up on the ball of your back foot. And sometimes that just means a nice long stance front to back. Good. Squeeze your inner legs to center. Keep some tone through your belly, just so it feels supported there. And then roll your left inner thigh up towards the ceiling. Press into the ball of the back foot, make the legs strong. Full breath in. And then with your exhale, bring your front leg to or towards, right? The knee might not come all the way straight, just moving in that direction. Soften your chest towards your thigh. Just let the weight of your head go, right? Again, maybe blocks. Sometimes here it's nice to walk the hands back a little bit for support. And then do that same thing with the shoulder blades. So think bottom tips of the shoulder blades up towards your waist. And then as you let the head go, it creates that traction through the neck. The next inhale, this time come forward, bend your front knee, plant your hands, step back, high plank. Take a full breath in. And then with your exhale, forearm plank. So bring elbows right under shoulders and forearms parallel to one another. Press down into forearms into hands. Tone through your belly. And then start to walk your feet in. Lift your hips, dolphin pose. It's one of my favorite inversion variations. Sometimes a little bend in the knees here can be helpful. And then you can take your gaze forward towards your thumbs or look back towards your toes. But keep the top of your head off of your mat, right? We're not letting it connect. We're still getting that traction in the neck. Good. Walk your feet back, forearm plank. Come up back up onto your hands, high plank. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Full breath in. And with your exhale, child's pose. Take a moment to rest arms. Right, steady out again through your breath. And just let your forehead rest. And then when you're ready, plant through your hands. Stretch up and back, down dog. Soften your chest back and let your head get heavy. Inhale, reach your left leg up and back. Keep it straight and strong. Exhale, step all the way through. Good. Turn and plant your back heel. We're going to stay low through here, which is just a little different variation coming in. So start by bringing both hands inside your front foot. And then just check the alignment of your feet, that heel to heel alignment or heel to arch. Slide your right heel back just an inch or two. And a good deep bend into the front knee, again, over the ankle or just behind. Right. Strengthen your outer left hip in and under. Okay, and then you can stay here with hands here. It's going to be a really nice supported variation. Head lower. Or you're going to release hands, interlace them behind your back, and then fold in just a little deeper, humble warrior. Right, and then here's where the left hip's going to want to sway out to the side again. Keep the sitting bone hugging in. You can keep your thumbs to your sacrum or lift your knuckles up. What feels better for you. And really root through the back foot, so that's taking some of the weight too. Head heavy. Full breath in. And then exhale, release. Walk your hands to the long end of your mat, pivot your feet. So you're going to parallel your feet. Sometimes that means moving them around a little bit. And then you can just walk your hands straight back. Keep your fingers and your toes pointing in the same direction. Shift a little of the weight forward to the balls of your feet, especially if it feels like it's all on your heels. And then fold in. Right, so you might be a little different with where your hand placement is. Right now, my elbows are right over the wrists. So it's almost like those chaturanga kind of arms. And then I can still press through the fingertips, draw the shoulder blades down the back, right, up towards the waist, and then head heavy. Sometimes another nice way is just to take a little movement with head and neck. With your next inhale, come forward, lift halfway. And then pivot your right foot to the back of your mat. Or if you end up on a different side, that's fine. Slide your left heel back just an inch or so. And then deepen into your right knee. Walk your hands inside your right foot. So again, just that little bit different transition, staying low so that we're maintaining head below heart. Squeeze your heels together to strengthen your legs. Right? And press a little bit more into the pinky edge of your right foot. That also might help to engage the outer hip. And then same thing, you can stay here. You might even just bend the elbows a little bit to get the head a little lower. Or you bring hands behind you, interlace the opposite clasp, and then thumb stay at your sacrum or reach up and over. And keep rooting through both feet, find that strength. Let your head get heavy. Sometimes the tendency here is to try and hold the neck. Just let it go. And even just find a little traction of your elbows apart from one another if you have the clasp. Good. Take one more full breath in. And then with your exhale, release your hands. Pivot to the long end of your mat again. Good. And then this time you can either walk hands back the same variation or reach and take a hold of ankles. Let your head get heavy. Right, I know here often the tendency is the weight to go all the way back in the heels. Shift a little forward. Might encourage a little more balance. And as you press down into your feet, squeeze your kneecaps up so the legs feel strong and engaged. And then draw the shoulders, tops of shoulders, away from the ears to lengthen the neck. And gravity bringing blood flow to the head. Good. Inhale, lift halfway. And with your exhale, walk your hands forward to the front of your mat. Take a big step forward. Take your feet out wide, toes out, heels in, settle down, squat. Right? So again, maybe blocks under your hips. Go slowly. So now we're just trying to balance that out, head above heart, letting things come back to normal. Right? Sometimes when we do that for too long, we can get a little dizzy with all the blood flow. Things have kind of gotten off kilter. So let these transitions be gentle. Stay a little bit longer if your body needs that. And then release your hands down to your mat. Lift your hips. Walk your feet back in, hip width apart. Bring your hands to your hips, and then we're going to come really slowly. First time all the way up to standing. We have that nice squat to kind of help things start to balance out, but again, just move slowly. Notice that still gave a little bit of rush as the blood flow comes back down, so be mindful. And then when you're ready, bring your big toes together to touch. Let's actually do this. Grab your blocks, have them up at the front of your mat. You may or may not want them, but it's a great place to have them for the next pose. Okay, find that gaze point, the drishti for your eyes. Take a full breath in. And then as you exhale, bend your knees, sit back. Shift your weight onto your left foot, and then you're going to cross right ankle, left knee for figure four. Just take a moment to find the balance here and flex through your right foot to make the legs strong. And then we're going to take it into a forward fold so we get the inversion. So take a breath in. And then nice and slow, as you exhale, fold forward. Here's where the blocks might be really nice. If you want a little bit more height, you could have them at any level. Just be mindful as you come down. Sometimes that right knee just wants to, sway way off to the side. If you can keep the hips level, stay rooted through your standing leg, and just stay light through your hands. So it's not like a lot of pressure there. We're still trying to get the balance, but just using that for a little bit of support. Right. If you can fold far enough forward, let the head go, that it comes under the heart. And stay into the bend of your left knee. We're getting that benefit of the hip opener here as well. And then we're going to transition up with the cross the leg if that works. You can always undo it if you want. Inhale, stand all the way up. Maybe find a little balance point. Exhale, bring hands to heart. And then unwind both legs, stand straight and tall. Take a couple breaths here at center. You might notice, I know I do, the balance feels a little different after this, a lot of head below heart work. Be gentle with yourself. Take a full breath in. And then exhale, bend your knees, sit back. Switch sides. And so stand into your right, cross the left foot. If you did the opposite side, just do the other one. We're doing both. Take a full breath in, root down through your right foot. And then exhale nice and slow, fold forward. Right hands to blocks or to mat. Flex through your left foot. And you can even press a little the ankle into the thigh so you're engaging all the way up to the outer hip. Again, think pelvis level. So the left knee is just not dropping way down. And then let your upper body fold. Let your head go. Take a couple breaths. And allow the benefit of the inversion, the blood to get to the brain. And deeper breaths also help that oxygenation, so always good to keep that going. And then maybe with a leg there or unwind to come up. Inhale, come all the way up, nice and slow. Exhale, hands to heart. And then unwind both feet down. Take a full breath or two. I've done so much with the head below. letting things balance out. Inhale, sweep both arms up. Exhale, fold forward. You can just set your blocks either forward or off to the side. We're going to use them again in just a moment. And then plant your hands, step back to high plank. Take a full breath in. And then with your exhale again, come down, forearm plank. Shoulders right over elbows. Press down into your forearms, grip with your fingertips. Okay, and then again, lift your hips. Start to walk your feet in dolphin pose. All right, come back to your hands for just a moment. Sometimes you're going to notice the inner wrist, the inner thumb want to lift up, root a little bit more through the inner edge. Just a nice way to protect the joints. And then you can stay here or lift your right leg up. Right, so just that added little bit of blood flow from the leg draining back. Full breath in. Exhale, right foot down. Inhale, left leg up. Keep your foot flexed. Roll your inner left thigh up. And then really traction through your forearms. Send your chest back. Inhale. Exhale, both feet down. Walk your feet back, forearm plank. Inhale. And then exhale, hips down, Sphinx pose. Good. Deep in the breath. Right, another little bit gentler way to get the head above the heart without coming all the way to standing, but letting things equalize. Stay strong through the tops of your feet. Tone through your low belly. And let your chest soften forward. And inversions can also be pretty invigorating, energizing. Right? Not always, but can be. So if you notice the heart rate going a little bit, right, we're working hard. A couple deeper breaths. And then lower all the way down. Bring your hands by your sides. Stretch back down dog. And take about 2 full breaths in down dog. Find that root of the hands and strong legs. And then with your inhale, lift to your toes. Exhale, bend knees, look forward, walk, step, or hop. And then if you liked having the blocks there, you can have them there again. We're going to do kind of a similar standing to forward fold. Bring your hands to your hips. Slowly inhale, stand all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. Take a breath or two. Let things settle in this direction. And then like before, you can start with your feet together. Root down into your left foot and bring your right knee up. Flex the foot. Just take a breath to find the balance here. And with your exhale, you're going to send your leg back and fold forward, hands to your blocks for standing splits or to your mat if it feels like they can reach. Right, you can always turn the blocks up a little higher if you want more support. And then strengthen through your legs. So as you press down into your left leg, squeeze the kneecap up. Flex your right foot and roll the inner thigh up. And then you can bend your elbows and just let your chest soften back towards your thigh. Again, just letting the head go. And like we've been doing, you can draw the shoulder blades away from the ears, get that length in the neck. And then you can stay there with hands to blocks if you feel like challenging the balance a little. Right? If your blood flow to the brain is up for it, you could do one hand or both hands to your left ankle. Right? Sometimes the more we challenge the direction of the blood flow, the harder balance gets. Okay, and then bring your hands forward again. Take a breath in. And then exhale, both feet down to the mat. Let's do this. Take your feet wide, settle your hips down, Malasana to squat. Bring your hands to your heart. Just take a couple breaths here, letting blood flow come back a little bit. While it's beneficial, we know we don't want to spend all our time with the head below the heart. We would probably wind up dizzy most of the time. So give yourself those breaks. And be mindful, if you need a longer break, stay. And then release your hands, lift your hips, walk your feet back in, hands to hips. Inhale, come all the way up slowly. Okay, feet together, last one. Hands to heart, right? Like I can even notice it still, coming all the way up. Okay, find that focus point for your eyes. Stand into your right foot, lift your left knee up, flex your foot. Root down to lengthen up through the top of your head. Inhale. And then exhale, send your foot back, fold forward, bring your hands down, blocks or mat. Press into your right foot, squeeze the kneecap up, strong legs. And then flex your left foot and roll the inner thigh up to level off through your hips. You might bend your elbows a little bit to let the head go. And then just like that first side, if you feel up for a little more challenge, you can take one hand or both behind your ankles. All right, I'm feeling the effects of the inversion, so I'm just going to do one hand, the ankle, one hand to the block. And then both hands to blocks, inhale. And then exhale, both feet down. So you can set your blocks off to the side. And then one last time, feet a little wider, bend your knees, sit back. Hands to heart. Give that little squeeze of your inner knees, inner legs towards your outer arms as you lift up through your chest. And then take your hands behind you, have a seat. Grab one of your blocks, just have it close by where you can reach it, and come to lie all the way down on your back. Take your feet hip width apart. Just for a moment, bring your hands to your belly. Let yourself take a couple fuller breaths into the belly. We can slow the breath down just a little bit. Good. And then you're going to take your hands like robot arms, right? So bend your elbows, face your palms towards one another, and then really press down through the backs of the arms, through the triceps. Root through your feet. With your inhale, lift your hips up, bridge pose. You might press into your triceps, snuggle your shoulder blades, but keep palms facing towards one another. And then exhale, slowly lower down. Good. Inhale, lift hips up. Exhale, lower. Yep, head just slightly below heart and bridge. Inhale, lift hips. This time, grab your block, slide it underneath your hips, supported bridge. You can go lower or middle setting. We're going to take it in a moment to legs up the wall if you want. So sometimes a little bit wider base feels better there. And let the weight of your hips settle onto the block. Just let the back of your head feel heavy. Okay. And then if you decide you want to stay right here, if this feels like a good place, right, do that. If it feels like legs up on the wall on the block would be good, you can bring your knees in and then reach your feet up. Flex your feet. And sometimes you have to wiggle the block around just to find that right place that feels really supportive. And soften or close through your eyes. If you could just pick one inversion to do, this is probably my favorite. You get the benefit of the legs up, so you get that, right? The blood flow drain from the legs, again, working with gravity instead of against. Heart just slightly above head, but everything moving in that direction. This is also if you want something a little more restful. So it's nice to approach it from this way too. So the idea being we have lots of options to nourish the brain, to get upside down where you don't have to be in handstand. Yeah, let's just take a few more breaths here. You can bring your knees into your chest. Bring your feet down to your mat. Lift your hips to slide your block out. And then bring your hips all the way down. Take your feet wide. Let your knees rest together, constructive rest pose. And just give it a few breaths here. And you can walk your feet back in. Bring your right knee into your chest. Stretch your left leg long. It's going to take a simple supine twist. Right knee over to the left. Right arm out to the side. Just find that twists are a really nice way to encourage balance back in the body. It's so great at the end of practice, but especially we've been doing head up, head down, head up, head down. Let things settle back to equilibrium. You can look wherever it feels most comfortable for your neck. And just let your right shoulder settle back. Take a few breaths. And bring your right knee back to center. Bring both knees into your chest. And then stretch your left leg out, right leg long. Flex your feet, just keep a little muscle energy going there. And then left knee over to your right. You can always slide a block under the knee too if it doesn't comfortably come to the ground. Left arm out to the side. Look wherever it's most comfortable for your neck. Soften through your eyes. And use this again just to help slow down the breath. Think even inhale, even exhale for balance. With your next inhale, unwind, come back to center. Bring both knees in. And just give it a little squeeze, curl forehead up to knees. Inhale. And exhale, release, Shavasana. Any support, you could slide those blocks under your knees or anything else that you might have. Take hands where it feels most comfortable. And then just let the body soften. Eyes closed or soft. Release any effort with the breath. And just allow the benefits of the practice to settle in. If you have longer and feel like a little extra rest would be nice, please stay. You're ready to come out. You can just take a full stretch, reach up through your arms and out through your legs. And then bend your knees, roll to your side. Use your hands to press all the way up to sitting. And bring your hands together at your heart. And sit tall, lift heart to hands. And bow in, head to heart. Thank you so much for sharing the practice today. Namaste.